If you go back and look historically at who our best friends in that part of the world have been, it's been the Iranians.
In 1979, that all changed.
The U.S. Embassy in Tehran has been invaded and occupied by Iranian students.
Americans held hostage for 444 days by radicals in a country most of us knew almost nothing about. The event captured our attention. It was the impetus for one of the longest-running shows on television.
This is Nightline.
It was also a low point in American history, a lack of decision, a lack of leadership, and failure.
2 of our American aircraft collided on the ground following a refueling operation in a remote desert location in Iran.
And I was there on the night of the 24th of April, 1980, as we attempted to rescue the 53 Americans that were being held in the American Embassy in Tehran. And of course, you know, that mission failed about 100 miles from Tehran in a remote desert area when we had a collision between an RH-53 helicopter and a C-130. That was the one and only time that I've been there, but I remember it well.
As bad as it seemed back then, it's taken the world 3 decades to realize the true measure of evil unleashed by the revolution.
The Ayatollah returned from exile in France to start what we now know as the Islamic Revolution and established an Islamic Republic and implemented Sharia law, and then began to spread his theology as broadly as he could. And that is really when they began to, they being the Iranian regime, began to support terrorism, particularly Hamas and Hezbollah.
Iran's transformation from disruptive nuisance to global threat accelerated with Khomeini's death in 1989 and the elevation of his chosen successor, radical Twelver Ali Khamenei. Although there were many steps along the way, the full evil intent of the new regime bubbled to the surface in 2005 in the person of new president Ahmadinejad.
One of the most significant, probably the most significant moment was when he made his first address to the United Nations General Assembly in September of 2005, just a few months after he took office. And in this speech, he refers a few times to the Promised One, a veiled reference to the 12th Imam, and then concluded the speech by praying that Allah would hasten the coming of this Promised One, the 12th Imam.
The ultimate promise of all divine religions will be fulfilled with the emergence of a perfect human being.
I thought, I hope people are listening, and I hope people will take the time to try and understand what he just said.
Few listened, even fewer understood.
You know, over the last few years, I've been invited to meet with people at the CIA, Homeland Security, Pentagon, White House, Congress. Yet, it's amazing to me that our #1 national security threat as Americans is from Iran, and yet so few leaders in Washington, aside from around the world, understand the end times theology of the leaders of Iran. It's as though it's not even being investigated, it's not even being processed.
One of the biggest problems for intelligence analysis is dealing with the issue of religion. First of all, everybody tends to mirror when they look at other cultures and other civilizations. They assume that people are logical, just like they are. Or they'll say, you know what, we'll be able to deter a nuclear Iran the same way the United States deterred the Soviet Union. But the Iranian leadership, which believes in the arrival of the Mahdi, are not godless communists. They have a whole different worldview. And therefore, those who look at Iran without understanding the foundations of the Shiite faith and Iranian religion are going to make a very big mistake in dealing with this very problematic challenge for all of us.
They're telling us exactly what they want to do. They don't have a hidden agenda. They're not lying. They feel so bold as to state it to the world what they want to do. We are refusing to listen.
This end time theology is not only what he believes, but it's what's is why he's putting his, Ahmadinejad is putting his foot to the gas of accelerating Iran's nuclear weapons development program and the ballistic missile development as well. Because once Ahmadinejad is able to acquire nuclear weapons and the missiles to deliver them, Ahmadinejad could do in about 6 minutes what it took Adolf Hitler nearly 6 years to do, and that is to kill 6 million Jews.
If you really want a barometer of human decency, see how a country treats its own.
State television showed the police beating some protesters.
Because if they have contempt for their own, they certainly will do far worse with others. And I think we've seen manifestations of that over and over again.
Hitler wrote a book, Mein Kampf, saying exactly what he wanted to do. And people said, oh, he's a crazy lunatic. He doesn't really mean it.
And we would say, why do you say he doesn't mean it? He wrote it, he preached it, and later on he practiced it. Why would we in any way question the authenticity of the sentiment?
Ahmadinejad is doing the same thing.